completely cut off. So after the certification and going through this scholarship, which would have broke the bank for me to do without, has clearly set me on a trajectory in a path that I cannot look back from and say, I wish I didn't do this, for lack of a better term, because I made the decision then to bet on myself, if that makes any sense. And I couldn't have done that without the stability. If that makes any sense. And I couldn't have done that without the stability, without the flexibility of a certificate. And I'm now at a company that, and even now in a program that I'm being paid to learn, continue to learn. So in the event that, or I'll say an unfortunate event that I don't think will happen, that I don't get an offer at the end of my term, I'm leaving with 6-figure skills. So, and that's something that I wouldn't have been able to say, 8 years ago when I was left with just me and my twins and told that I wouldn't be anything.
Was powerful. So we have 2 minutes left, and I hand it back over to Ms. Sonia Francis to wrap us up and bring us home. Chelsea, we had a question from Amy Winslow in the chat asking how and if possible for folks to connect with your master classes.
Definitely. So for anyone interested in master classes, I promote on LinkedIn. We're low tech to no tech right now. So I usually just meet individually one-to-one with people that reach out through LinkedIn, but there are going to start being regular scheduled master classes beginning June 1st. So it's Chelsea Rucker on LinkedIn, and it's chelsea@google.com. If you'd like me, any inquiries, I'm more than happy. And like Kara said, I do communicate back. So feel free to reach out at any time.
Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. And with that, I will hand it back over to you, Francis.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jamira. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you, Cara, and thank you, Rory. I think today's presentation is a great example that you don't have to have a bachelor's degree or a master's degree in order to achieve. What you need is an opportunity to demonstrate that you have the skill and the will and the right supports in place in order to get on your chosen career pathway. So thank you again to Chelsea, Cara, and Rory for sharing your unique journeys with us and also inspiring us to do more and to do more better for the people that we serve and support in our local communities. Again, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sonia Francis, Senior Director of Mission Innovation and Strategy, and I'm super excited. Today we have 2 phenomenal women here ready to share their story with you, their journey along their various career pathways, some of their accomplishments to date, and how those accomplishments have impacted the lives of their families as well. We'll also be joined by a business, really sharing some of these exciting opportunities with you and how you can connect to similar employment opportunities. So let's kick it off with a few introductions. Our first interviewee is Cara Israel. Cara is a lover of all things tech, automation, and community. Cara finds joy in helping women reach and surpass their goals. She's currently employed as a technology apprentice with her dream company, Accenture. So we're just going to dive in to give enough time to answer all of the questions. Cara, it is so great to have you here during our Leading Change Conference. I understand that you came to Goodwill Nashville during a time of change in your life. And do you mind sharing with us what some of those changes were going on in your life?
Sure. Thank you again, Ms. Sonia, for allowing me to be here. Thank you to GII. I really appreciate everybody that is in the audience. During that change in my life, I was actually at the precipice of a divorce. And not only that, I also have three small girls at the time. They were between 1 and 5, and the 5-year-olds being twins. So being able to be at a place where I was probably at the lowest of lows and trying to understand how to make it out of a situation that I felt like there were no ends to a means. I needed an outlet. So when I found out about Goodwill and the career services that were offered, I was floored, honestly.
Cara, can you also tell us a little bit about, how you got involved in the Goodwill Digital Career Accelerator? What role did that play in your accomplishments today?
Yeah, so that actually was a lot of foreshadowing, I'll say, because that's something that I was recently teaching my daughters about. But earlier in life, I was taught to always have a need for following up with people and being as assertive as possible. So when I found out about Goodwill Services, that was through a coworker of mine. And he shared with me a success story from one of our other speakers on today's panel, Chelsea Recker. And I reached out to her on LinkedIn and sent her a direct message, and she was kind enough to follow up with me. And I took on the responsibility full feet first. And I started and I completed the program in a year. And after that year, I was able to transition into the job that I'm at now.
That is so awesome. We always hear about people thinking about their dream jobs, where they want to go. You shared a little bit of insight about how you had this vision of this dream job that you have here at Accenture. Can you talk a little bit about that? And also share a little bit more about how you became aware of the opportunity and what your role is in connecting other people to opportunities similar to yours.
Yeah, so I actually knew about Accenture at the prime age of 16 years old, a 10th grader in high school, and a mentor of mine. She was a marketing manager for the company, and she had nothing but great things to say. And unfortunately, she had been in retirement 2 months at the point that I started. So I wasn't able to say that I was her coworker, but upon getting through college years, which I didn't even finish college, actually, I only went through 1 semester of college. So after having that dream of wanting to work at Accenture, I kind of let that dream go for a while because I kind of was almost programmed to believe that I wouldn't make it to the extent that I'm at, even now, without a degree. And it was very, very, very divine, where my timing was set up so beautifully that at the end of my program with Goodwill, with Coursera to get this certification, was also the same time that an HR representative reached out to Goodwill and said, "We need somebody to be in this position. Do you have someone available?" And our paths were able to meet, and I was actually very, very scared to take on the position, and I almost said no. I was like, "No, this is too much. This is too great. I don't think I want this. And Miss Becky, who was the program manager at the time, she pushed me and she did not take no for an answer. And she said, just don't commit just yet. Just send in your resume. Let's just see how it goes. Between the time that I had my first interview was probably a Thursday, Friday. I got an offer 7 days later. So I'm now able to say that I'm at my dream job. I don't have that degree, but I had every bit of fire behind me, every bit of my children's encouragement behind me to get to where I am now and to honestly continue to soar.
We're going to come back and ask you some more questions in the end. And as you're noodling on that, I really want you to begin thinking about the direction that we're going in, what you've been doing with sharing back and giving back in your local community. You may have heard that we're building this thing that's called the Goodwill Opportunity Accelerator, really helping all of us think about how we can approach workforce delivery services from a holistic perspective. You shared that this opportunity for you meant a change, not just for you as an individual, but also in the lives of your daughters as well. And we're really trying to have that big impact, right? Going really deep in terms of how we're supporting individuals coming to Goodwill for job search services, but also how we can create this culture of lifelong learning. So I want you to think about that when we come back to you for some additional questions in the end. We're now going to meet Rory Merrill. We're super excited to have an employer on this panel with us, really sharing how you two can get connected with some employment opportunities. Cara shared through her story that she landed her dream job. Her dream job is with Accenture. So we've invited Rory to come and share a little bit about Accenture and how these opportunities can be made available for job seekers that you're supporting too. Rory is a recruitment specialist at Accenture and has volunteered as a court-appointed special advocate for more than 8 years. So it sounds like, to me, we have a great panel of people who are passionate about serving and supporting families. So Rory, do you mind coming on and sharing with us about the opportunities at Accenture?
Yes, hi everyone. My name is Rory Merrill and I'm a recruiter at Accenture. I recruit for our amazing apprenticeship program that Cara is a part of. So I wanted to just spend a few minutes talking to you all about this opportunity. This is for people without a completed bachelor's degree. So if you have credits towards a bachelor's degree or you have a completed associate's degree, this is the right opportunity for you. You come in and you work for Accenture for 1 year. It is a paid position. You're given training, a mentor, and just you're building skills throughout that year to then be converted to a full-time hire at the end of the year. So definitely encourage all of you to apply for this opportunity. I will make sure that you all have the link so that you can submit your application. And I'll also make sure if there's a way they can get my email address so that they can reach out to me with any questions. I'd love to just chat on the phone about it. If you do have a completed bachelor's degree, then you can apply for our entry-level positions. And I can certainly help make sure your application gets routed in the right direction. But it's just a really great opportunity. I've been doing this type of recruiting since February, so I did not have the chance to interview Cara a year ago when she joined the program, but I've been doing it since February and have just been having so much fun with it.
Thank you, Rory. Any tips that you're willing to share or can share about how Goodwills can connect their job seekers to some of these employment opportunities and apprenticeship opportunities with Accenture?
Yes, definitely. So as recruiters at Accenture, we reach out to nonprofits like Goodwill, and we make sure we give them the link directly to share with interested candidates. So we will make sure that you have that link to apply. And then, like I said, once you submit your application, If you're interested in staying in the Nashville area, I will be your recruiter during that process. Just to kind of give you a quick outline of what that interview process entails for the apprenticeship program, it's 3 steps. So the first interview is a 20-minute phone screen with myself. So I talk to everyone on the phone, get to know you a little bit more, and just kind of make sure I answer all the questions that you have. And then there's 2 45-minute video interviews with managers on the team. So they will just kind of ask you to walk you through your resume and ask you those typical behavioral questions. One piece of advice that I always give to candidates when they're applying is to do your research on the company and think about, before you join the interview, think about what interests you the most about either that company or the role, because I guarantee you that will be a question that a recruiter will ask you. We care more about the aptitude and the interest that the candidate has versus the specific skill sets. Obviously, skills are important, but the apprenticeship program is designed to help teach you the skills that you need to be successful. So I care much more about a candidate that is excited to learn and has that passion for technology or for the role that I'm hiring for, over someone who might have a long list of skills listed on their resume, but if they don't sound excited about it, I'm going to go for that other candidate. So just make sure, you do your research. LinkedIn is a great tool to utilize to be able to just research the company, see what we're talking about in the news, look up local leaders and what they're posting about, and then just kind of jot down some bullet points about what excites you most about the role.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rory. If you guys have questions for Cara or Rory, make sure you put them in the chat box. We will have time for questions towards the end. Our next presenter is Chelsea Rucker. Chelsea is a Nashville native, currently employed as a program manager at Google. She's also the founder of a nonprofit and a professional development consultant. Chelsea is an advocate for the Google certificate programs because as she shares her story, you'll learn that she went from homelessness to homeowner and has created revenue streams that quadrupled her income. So we're really excited to have Chelsea join us to share a little bit about, how she became connected to the Goodwill Digital Career Accelerator and the Goodwill in Nashville, and what she's doing to motivate and give back to others. So Chelsea, I want to turn it over to you to share a little bit about yourself.
So much for having me today, Ms. Sonia. So this is true. I went from homeless to homeowner and actual unemployed or underemployed to full-time employed at Google. I was hired in as a data center technician shortly after finishing the Google IT certificate program. And I have been able to advance up to program manager at this level. So I am just proof of what is possible if you take some initiative and upskill.
Awesome. Chelsea, talk to us a little bit about that, right? Like you came in to Goodwill, you took some of the courses online, and I know I've heard you share your story of being part of the 3 a.m. club, of logging in to do your coursework early in the morning. Can you talk about what did that create for you? It seems like at some point in time you found your own spark and your own desire to not just stop there with that one certificate. Talk to us a little bit about some of the accomplishments you've achieved since earning that certificate and what that meant for your life.
Yes, ma'am. So with my progression through this journey, starting out, I was at a really low place, similar to Cara. I'd gotten fired from a really great job, making $25 an hour, and I was forced to come back home to Nashville, where I'm originally from, for family support. I was too embarrassed to tell my family about my situation, so I ended up at a women's shelter with my daughters. And through that process, I knew that Goodwill offered career services. So I had to start somewhere. I reached out to Goodwill in hope of obtaining a job actually at Goodwill, which I did. And from there, I was able to about the IT program. Taking the IT program, I met a data center technician, manager, and he was giving a tech talk at Goodwill. So I decided that I would show up, sit up front, ask some good questions, try to get noticed, and it turned out in my favor. Similar to Kara, this is so funny how the growth mindset becomes, it starts to set in. So after meeting Enoch, which was the operations manager, I went through that imposter syndrome where I felt like I wasn't smart enough to send in my resume. So with the help of some Goodwill staff and the encouragement of Enoch, I finally sent in my resume. And once they invited me to interview, the moment everything changed, when I thought to myself, oh, I might be able to pull this off. And from there, I just made a decision to put in every effort that was going to be necessary to get me to the next level, which included things like waking up at 4 a.m. Nobody wants to do that, especially when you're a mother, a single mother, and you know, your energy is constantly flowing to the children. But it was worth it because it was necessary. And there comes a time when you have to decide your worth getting to that level that you want to be. Once you make that decision, then you can create a pathway that will get you to your next goal. So that was kind of my process. But the moment that I was invited to interview was when that growth mindset kind of clicked in and I was ready to go.
You know, I can look in the chat box and see that you're inspiring a lot of people, and I'm so grateful for you being here with us today to share your journey. You know, as mentioned earlier, we're launching the Goodwill Opportunity Accelerator, where we're really talking about taking this holistic approach to workforce delivery and improving access to employment and career advancement opportunities. One of the things that we're doing, and I'm so glad you mentioned it, is implementing growth mindset strategies into this framework and really creating that culture of lifelong learning so that job seekers like yourselves can envision themselves in their dream careers. So Chelsea and Cara, I understand that you both have some things in common. Can you share how each of you are giving back and influencing change? And if you could, also offer some advice to Goodwill to help improve our work for job seekers. What are some of the recommendations that you might have? So 2 questions. How are you giving back? How are you influencing change? And then what guidance and advice would you have for us to continue improving the way that we deliver services?
You can start,
And so
Cara.
I'll take Cara first. Yes, sorry.
Okay. No, totally fine. So currently I'm fully taking advantage of the opportunity to send in as many referrals as possible. And I actually recently worked with a technology school, Black-owned technology school here in Nashville. And I volunteered my services to do a mock interview with someone. And this young lady impressed me so much that I referred her into the program, and she actually landed an apprenticeship position. So I'm very, very excited to be able to walk along the journey with her. And that's my one way of giving back currently, but I'll turn that next part over to Chelsea.
All right, so I actually founded a nonprofit called Tennessee Career Connect, and we currently target families that have been impacted by incarceration. So what we do is provide resources and educational opportunities for parents, especially that have been either forced into single parenthood as a result of incarceration, or they have been incarcerated and they have limited access to well-paying jobs. So that's an initiative that we're pushing out in the Tennessee area, and that's going to be expanding on a nationwide level. So you can stay tuned for that toward the end of the year. And I also do, as Ms. Sonia stated, professional development coaching at this point. I have a couple of free master classes coming up where I will talk about the pieces of the pie, which are your performance, image, and exposure, because that's really key to get into the next level. It's like our recruiter said, not always about having the hard skill. It's about the passion to learn, the capability to understand the material, and that drive to actually get the job done. So that's what the pieces of the pie consist of. And if I had any advice that I could give to the decision makers at Goodwill, I encourage you to go all in with this program that Ms. Sonia is initiating, because it is important for minorities and lower paid professionals to see the possibilities and trajectories of what's available. And that exposure is so important because, again, I was 25 years old before I even knew that I could make a living in the IT industry.
And to interject with my
So-
pieces of advice. Oh no, sorry, Ms. Sonia. But to interject with my pieces of advice, I would definitely encourage any and all professionals that are wanting to go head first with this program. Make sure you're listening to the people that you're serving as well, because they will give you the advice that you cannot pay for by any stretch of the means. They will give you the exact words of wisdom, the exact words of advice that you may need to reach somebody that you cannot reach simply by driving down the street. And every piece of advice, every person, every walk of life is worthy of that.
Thank you so much for both of you sharing your wonderful stories. You know, you've given us some great advice, some great tidbits. I've heard so much that we can like unpack and have whole separate sessions about. You talked about creating that growth mindset culture, being able to allow people to envision themselves in their own direction, in their own journey, in their own goals. These are all things that we're building into the Opportunity Accelerator. Having that exposure, having mentors who look like us and can encourage us to sign up for some of those classes. Viewing some of your content and the classes and the credentials that you're earning as a stepping stone and not an ending stone. I think it was so encouraging to hear from both of you, Cara and Chelsea, how you've been able to leverage your certificate to open up some doors and to continue opening up doors for others. We know that you guys have some amazing questions for these three phenomenal women. And so I'm going to invite Jamira Ortiz to come up and facilitate our Q&A session. And Jamira, you might want to get us kicked off with a question for Cara, Chelsea, and Rory as people are getting their questions ready in the chat box.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Rory, Cara, and Chelsea for sharing today. It's just really great to hear, regardless of what end of the spectrum that you are coming in to this work, that there's just so much that can be learned through this, through your voices and through your stories. So we do have questions, and please keep them coming in. There was one question that came in earlier, and someone had asked if we heard a little bit more about the actual certificate program. So I'm guessing, Sonia, I can turn that to you, and then if Cara or Chelsea, you want to fill in pieces from the student side, that would be awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Jamira. So I'll share a brief overview, but I think it will be more meaty, definitely coming from Chelsea, who we know is an advocate of the Google IT certificate. But we currently have an RFP open right now, recruiting Goodwills who are interested in offering these IT scholarships to your job seekers and your employees. The scholarships cover a range of training. So what you heard Cara and Chelsea talk about was the Google IT Professional Support Certificate. So it's really training people to be a help desk support technician, but we have also just recently launched some additional certificates. Included in those are project management, UX design, data analyst, and then there's also a social media marketing scholarship available too. So I'll invite Chelsea to come up and talk about her experience with the Google IT.
Yes, ma'am. That's actually a perfect description. It either will give you the skills to go into a call center setting where you could potentially be a help desk specialist. There are opportunities in data centers, especially, and with Amazon and Oracle, coming to Middle Tennessee, that's going to provide so many opportunities to hop on and take advantage of. And the curriculum and the IT support certificate is going to be super helpful if you're interested in that particular pathway. There are, just so you're aware, a couple other certificates that were released by Grow with Google, and they are similar to the IT certificate. They have the design course, project management course, and data analytics, which are offered through Tennessee Career Connect, which is my organization. If you'd like more information on that, you can always reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'm always active. That's the easiest way to contact me. It's Chelsea Rucker, or you can go to our website, which is TennesseeCorrectConnect.org, spelled all the way out. If you're interested in specific information on courses, then you can also visit grow.google, and that will give you additional resources to kind of look into. But if you have any questions regarding anything that you see on that Grow site, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to give you more details about that or support you on your journey for learning.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chelsea. So I have another question, and this is for Rory. Rory, I know you mentioned that you represent a certain part of the country when it comes to apprenticeships, but we know that Goodwill is a network and we have a vast footprint across the United Canada. So are there, can you share a little bit more about the apprenticeship footprint, and where could folks expect to be able to find apprenticeship opportunities throughout the country?
Yes, absolutely. So I work with a team of 5 recruiters. We handle the apprenticeship program, and each of us have a section of North America that we cover. So I cover the South, Atlanta, Nashville, DC, Raleigh, those locations. And then some of my counterparts cover the other market units across North America. And okay, great. So somebody just put my email address in the chat. So if you're interested in either a location in the South or not in the South, feel free to send me an email, and I will be able to connect you to that recruiter that covers the location that you're interested in. Now, not all of our office locations have an apprenticeship network. That's something that we are focusing on growing. So more and more cities are adopting the program, but you can always reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to kind of let you know which locations we have opportunities. And then I also want to make sure I get you the link to apply. I am not able to put something into the chat as a speaker, but I will figure out how to do that before we're done with this, and get you that link so that you'll have direct access to that apprenticeship program link.
And also to put in some information from the Nashville office, we're also wanting to hire up to 300 more associates just before 2022, and hitting a large majority of that number with our apprentices. So by all means, look for the Nashville office. We have a lot of things, great things coming out of our delivery center, and I cannot sing our praises enough. Our fearless leader, Alejandro Sam, is probably one of the best people you could probably work under, and the most encouraging group of people that you can work with. And I can't sing our praises enough, but yeah, so go Nashville.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that information. And I'm sure, Rory, you have emails already waiting in your inbox, because we are an eager group of individuals as well. So we have another question, and this is actually for and Chelsea. I guess we could pitch it to Cara first and then Chelsea. But the question comes in from Gabby Lloyd, and it says, how has your opinion about furthering your education changed since you both earned your certificates through this program?
You know what? Access is everything, quite literally everything. And because I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. So my idea of getting out of the hood is you're either famous for something or you're gonna have to get a scholarship to go to somebody's college. Now, also having to go to a scholarship or whatever, wherever else the case may be, that's then putting you in somewhat of a little bit of a pigeonhole, for lack of a better term. Not in no means am I downgrading anybody that has a degree, but for someone like me that had my first set of children at 20 years old, that opportunity for me to even think about college in that position in my life was completely cut off. So after the certification and going through this scholarship, which would have broke the bank for me to do without, has clearly set me on a trajectory in a path that I cannot look back from and say